up, guys? Thanks for watching. I'm Justin Burkholtz, and it's time for another book review. This week, I am reviewing the book, The Extratempestrial Model by Dr. Michael P. Masters. Okay, so you may be thinking, extratempestrial sounds an awful like another word that you've actually heard before, extraterrestrial. And there's a reason for that. The extraterrestrial hypothesis is the hypothesis that the UFOs, or otherwise known as UAPs, that we've been seeing, come from outside of Earth. They are extraterrestrial, meaning that these things come from somewhere else in space and they are coming to Earth. The extratempestrial model that this book is about is the theory that these UFOs and UAPs are not in fact coming from somewhere else out in space, but from somewhen else in time, namely future humans from Earth coming back in time to study us and their own past. Okay, so if you have followed the UFO topic for a little while, you've probably at least heard of this theory. I certainly had. I had seen a couple interviews of Dr. Masters. I had seen, some podcasts and things like that he had done, and I'd heard other people comment on this theory. However, the book itself is brilliant, and I was unsure if I thought this was even a possible theory or how plausible it was. I guess I was unsure of until I read the book. And once I started, I was actually really surprised and delighted to see that it's actually an academic book. It reads like a technical academic publication. So I'm not sure if it went through a peer review process, but it reads like a book that has, and it is fully cited. There's hundreds of citations, and it's written as if it were an academic paper that was then transformed into a book. Like a lot of books I've read that started out as a master's thesis or as a dissertation, but were then adapted to become a book. That is what the extratempestrial model kind of feels like. And so it's written very scientifically, very academically. Like I said, it's fully cited. And actually, the way that it's structured is like that as well. So there are a couple of introductory chapters, 4 to be exact. And then the book just dives into case studies to support his hypothesis. He provides a lot of data to support this extratempestrial theory. The book actually covers in detail 15 such case studies, and it talks about all of the details that are known of those studies and then where to find more information about them, such as books that have been written, interviews, etc. Some of these case studies were abduction experiences or UFO experiences that I was not actually aware of prior to reading this book. So that's always really cool when I come across new stories, new experiences that shed light on this phenomenon and its many different facets. Now, I want to state that I don't think that there is one explanation to what we're seeing. I think that future humans coming back in time is a really good explanation for a lot of what we're seeing with UFOs and UAPs, but I don't think it can explain everything. And Dr. Michael Masters, actually states that that's also his opinion, that it probably doesn't explain everything. And he even points out in some of the case studies when there is certain evidence or statements made that would kind of go against the extratempestrial model and support the extraterrestrial model. But he gives a lot of evidence to support his own model, of course. Some of the incredibly interesting case studies covered here include some from before Roswell, from before the term flying saucer was even coined. In fact, my favorite of the whole book is the earliest example, and it's from Montana. From the 1930s is when it started, and this man supposedly had contact with this UFO full of these human-looking people who might have been from the future or possibly from another planet or something. And this man has contact with this same UFO and these same people um, over the course of his entire life, starting when he's a boy and then ending the last contact, I think he was in his 60s. So that's a really interesting case study that I haven't heard talked about anywhere else, and that can really give us some very interesting pre-Roswell insight on UFO encounters and experiences. Beyond that, he talks about a lot of the really famous ones, Betty and Barney Hill um, among them. And so he really covers, like I said, 15 specific case studies in detail, including several that I had never heard before. So if you are really interested in abduction phenomenon, in missing time, in time travel and how that might actually work and look, and what we might actually see from our perspective if someone else was traveling through time. There are a couple case studies here where there's really good evidence of missing time, of significant amounts, 5 days, 7 days or so of missing time. There's a case study in here where a woman is pulled by a light beam through her wall while someone else watches and sees this. And then that woman reappears 90 minutes away, but 900 kilometers away, I should say. 90 minutes later, 900 kilometers away. That was a very interesting case study. And there's another study where military officer from Chile in the 1970s, I believe, experienced 5 days of missing time. And this is even shown on the watch that he wore, because he wore the type of watch that keeps track of the days as well as just the minutes and hours. And when he was found again, he disappeared in front of his troop and then reappeared 15 minutes later, I believe. And 5 days had passed for him physically and on his watch. He had 5 days of beard growth on his face. His stomach was empty because he hadn't eaten in days. And the same thing with the other woman who experienced a week of missing time. So there's a lot of super interesting stuff in this book. And Dr. Masters provides an really incredible argument that at least some of what we are seeing with the UFOs are future humans coming back to do research on their own past. Okay, so I mean, if you are interested in, like I said, in UFOs, alien abductions, missing time, any of that kind of stuff, you really got to give this book a read. The Extratempestrial Model by Dr. Michael P. Masters. This is going quickly to the top of my favorite UFO books because it's written scientifically, and I like that. I like reading research papers and academic books and papers. I like when people actually have citations for things that they're quoting or referencing so that I can look into those and learn more or verify things, especially in this field with UFOs. I think we really need more books like this and more people taking the time and attention at a high academic level talking about this topic. And yeah, what an incredible book. So I definitely highly recommend this one. If you are interested in any of those topics, I'm sure you will love it. I could hardly put it down. I think I read this book in 2 days, honestly. It was just so fascinating. I could not stop reading. And every case study, I had to stop and tell my partner about all the cool stuff that happened. I'm sure I annoyed her quite a bit during the reading of this book. But it was that good. I really do love it. All right, guys. Well, if you're into book reviews and you want to see more and you're not subscribed to my channel, please hit that subscribe button for me. That really helps me out. It's the best thing you could possibly do to help me out right now. If you want to see more book reviews, check them out on my channel. I have a whole playlist of book reviews, quite a few about UFOs and UAPs, so check those out. I also talk about spirituality, consciousness, history, all that kind of stuff. All right. Well, thanks for joining. I'll see you again next week.